How y'all doing today? Today, I want to talk to start off with a little about taking advantage of opportunities when they come about. I think that a lot of people should look at majority of situations, if not all situations that they in, as an opportunity, even if it don't look like that it's an opportunity to even begin with. So recently, I just had a little car trouble with at first it started off as a flat tire. I'm leaving my game or whatever. I'm sitting here on my phone, driving, and I run up a curb. I just straight hop up on a curb, and I'm like, oh my god, here we go again. So I hop up off the curb, and I hear that, and I'm 30 minutes away from my house. So luckily, my brother was with me, so he was able to pick me up or whatever. But for some odd reason, literally for like the past God knows how long. I would want to say it's been like for like the past 5-6 years. I pretty much get into like a some weird car trouble situation like around literally this time. I don't know why it doesn't happen no other time, but it's always around this time when it starts to like to get cold. It's freaking weird. But after I get my tire fixed or whatever, then the thermostat, I ended up having a bad thermostat on my car, so my engine kept overheating, and I'm not car savvy at all. I popped the hood of a trunk, man, and look under it. It's going to look freaking nutty to me, man. It is what it is. I would love to learn about that stuff, but I'm the type of person that if something don't really interest me like that, I kind of like don't care about it. It got to really pique my interest for me to like actively be like engaged with it. But cars is just like one of those things for me. But what I was saying was like it's weird. This year round, I had to tell myself that I had to have like a different mental state, like going through this car spice. So yeah, back to it. I ended up having like a bad thermostat like in my car, but I was thinking worst case scenario, like I don't know what's wrong with my car, you know what I mean? Like I had bad brakes and rotors, so I was just gunning it. That's mad dangerous. So don't do that. For y'all, don't if you got car troubles, like try to manage it. But if you don't really have the money and you just like gunning it, you could do that. But be safe about it. That sounds mad unsafe. That sounds mad unsafe, but yeah. But what I was going to say was, weirdly enough, my mental space with going through the situation that I recently just went through with this car is just that when opportunities come about, which I didn't know how they was going to come about, just take advantage of them. So, my stepdad ended up finding some dude at an auto zone who was just so happened to working on cars in like the parking lot or whatever. So he gave me this guy's number, and then eventually I ended up calling him or whatever. And he ended up doing my brakes and rotors and fixing my thermostat and everything all in one day, But ultimately, before all the other times that I was in that same situation, oftentimes got extremely frustrated that I was in that situation to even begin with. And ultimately, it took much longer for the situation to be resolved once I was in those situations, due to the fact that I personally believe it's just my mental space when I was like going through those situations to sit there and just like try to figure something out. And like for example, I believe this was last year around this time, I got what happened to my car? I took it to Valvoline to get an oil change, and then they messed up the hood of my car. So what eventually happened was later on that night, I got off of work and I'm sitting and I'm driving, and the hood of my car like shoots up towards my windshield, end up cracking my windshield. You know what I'm saying? Some bullshit. But with that being said, I was like in a real bad situation. But me being the person that I am, I still was driving my car. I zip tied my trunk down or the hood of my car down, and I'm still driving, whatever. So I was driving on the highway one night, and this is probably around like 7:30, around like 7 o'clock. So it was kind of busy, but I'm in the all the way in the right, and I'm driving. Like I'm saying, if you in these situations, don't don't do this. It's extremely dangerous. But at the same time, I know a lot of y'all out there ain't freaking stupid and y'all got common sense. So yeah, don't do this. But what happened was when I was driving, the hood shoots up and it pops up and it shatters like my sunroof and like really like destroy my windshield. And I'm sitting here like, yo, at this point, yet again, I'm in a situation where I'm like 30 minutes away from my house. I'm on the side of the highway, and I'm in between two exits, I guess. So part where you're getting off an exit and people are getting on, I'm literally right in between that. So I'm like, what the hell I'm about to do? So me being me, I found more zip ties in my car. So I zip tied my hood down again, and I was like, I guess I gotta go about like 15, 20 to get home, but I hope this don't happen again. But I believe that when you get put in situations like that, where at first it's like, it's frustrating and you don't know what you going to do, and you do get out of situations like that, ultimately I believe that you just learned something tremendously to get you out of that situation, especially if you've been at a point of stagnation and procrastination, like with handling that. And I believe like for example with me with car troubles and stuff, I tend to procrastinate just in general. I think it's just human nature that people do procrastinate, but people have to get into a mind space where they need to cut the procrastination time down, you know what I mean, and have times where it is room to procrastinate. But my method for, I guess, having room to procrastinate is just getting important things done and out the way like early, you know what I mean. And to me, that like really enough builds the mindset to how can I put this, like put yourself in like an opportunity mindset. So once you get done with the morning and put yourself in that opportunity mindset in the morning, you know, you just got some parts of your day where you can't procrastinate or relax until it's time to, you know, get back to it and go at it again. Like, to me, procrastination is equivalent to rest, you know, but don't procrastinate to the point where it starts to hinder whatever it is that you have to do. And I feel as though when it comes to procrastination, you want to do something, but you avoiding it for some odd reason. For some people, they're avoiding it because they know it is going to be helpful, as weirdly as that sound. And some people avoid things because they genuinely don't want to do it, or I don't know. I know it's like a third side to that, but I'm normally the type of person that if I'm procrastination, I'm just don't want to do it. I don't feel like it. But when I know that it pertains to something involving me to take me to another level, then the procrastination tends to get cut down significantly. Another thing that I was going to talk about, I was going to mention a story where I was trying to find an agent to represent me to play basketball, and the method of how I went about doing that. And this is falling along the lines of being an opportunist. So I believe this was either last year or 2 years ago. I can't remember, but I wanted an agent. I needed one desperately, like, you know what I mean, just to set me off on my basketball path or whatever. First, this whole entire process was extremely frustrating because I didn't know what I was doing. And second, it's a weird thing when you're relying on other people to get your dreams fulfilled, I guess. That can, if you're doing that, I suggest that don't do that. Seriously, don't do that. You're going to be mad frustrated and unhappy relying on somebody else to get something done for you. It needs to be like kind of like a partnership kind of a deal. But back to the story at hand, how I went about this at first was I gave myself a timeline, and I'll never forget, I believe this started in, I would want to say March, and I gave myself around the time of my brother Devin's birthday, so it was April 12th. I think April 12th was the exact date actually that I wanted to have an agent by. But I was like, okay, my very first thought process to go about that is just look for where I can find like agencies in one sitting, I guess, like go on the internet and just do a whole bunch of research. So I came across, I think it was Eurobasket.com, I think it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was that. But what I did was I told myself, if I send 10 emails every week, I guess, I'm pretty sure it was every week, then this should very well get me to where I need to be in a month. But what I started doing was I started sending like 10 like every single day. So I was sending, when it was all said and done, I sent like a couple of hundred emails, and I'm not even gonna lie, I got a lot of no's, I got no responses, and I got a little bit of responses. But the responses that I did get, I went and took it from there, but I told myself that was very, very important to me. I had to start getting used to seeing like rejection like right in front of my face, with seeing like no, and especially to something that I really cared about what I was doing, and it was just like right in front of my face. But all in all, we're just seeing it over and over and over again. I was just like, I can't let them be the judge of telling me what I think I'm worth. You know what I mean? Even though I'm putting everything in their hands, you know what I mean, with their opinion and everything. But I ultimately that wasn't going to be my deciding factor for me whether I was going to stop or keep going. But what eventually started happening was like around that time, when I believe April 12th even came about, I didn't receive like nothing really solid for me for representation. And then after that, I ended up getting something probably like 2 weeks later. And it was something that honestly that I didn't want, but it was better than nothing. You know what I mean? But then as time went on, I realized like I made a mistake, and I was so hasty to just have an agent that I just pretty much just signed like wherever. But ultimately, what that taught me throughout that whole process, because I remember when that date, April 12th, hit, and I didn't reach the mark where I expected me to be at, I was down on myself, man. I was mad upset because how much effort I was actually like putting into what I was doing. I was just like, dag, like I'm really putting my heart and soul into this, and I'm not reaping the benefits of it. And I know for a fact there's so many people like out there as we speak that's like going through that. But all in all, even as time went on, it was still so many lessons that I'm still even learning from that process of how I even got like through it, and I believe that persistence, like it pays off, like perseverance, it pays off. So whatever it is that y'all doing, and y'all feel like just as though y'all not reaping the benefits of whatever it is that you're doing, especially if you really like truly care about it, just you got to be aware of what you're doing and what's going on. And I know I see that like a lot, but it's like it's extremely important, and it's extremely critical. And you also have to have like somebody, like a accountability partner as well, to tell you that, you know what, you can't keep doing this. You got to switch it up somehow, some way, because this is another thing that I always say, you can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting something different to come about it. And this is the type of person that I'm probably still am with certain things, but I haven't noticed it yet, I guess. But like, just because I'm doing like working extremely hard or doing something so intently that it's going to go the way that I expected it to go, certain times it just don't work like that. And I'm still learning as I'm going, but I would love to hear how people how you guys go about seeking opportunities, and even when the opportunities come, how y'all like go about it. I feel as though every single day, the moment that we wake up, that's an opportunity just to get anything that we want, get the best out of our day. Certain days aren't as smooth as others, but the whole point is just going through whatever that comes with what we live in, which I have no clue. This is what we live in, and it's kind of freaking weird. I'm trying to figure that out as of late, but I don't think it's, I don't know, like up to us to like figure out. But to make something out of this world that we live in, I believe it's just our purpose. I think our purpose is we're here to create. We're here to create something. I think everybody's here to create something. You know, whether it's a service or a product, we're all here to create something. And I think that if we just talk to each other in that kind of aspect of as creators with one another, that that we'll be able to move further along in the progression of life and how understand this stuff like easier and easier and easier. Like I tell people all the time, like especially like my close friends that like I talk to, is just weird how when you get on the same mental level with somebody else, like what that does. Like this is a prime example that I use all the time. Like when two people are thinking of one single thing, you know, how that automatically creates a third mind. It creates an extra mind in the room that without that other person being there, you wouldn't be able to think of the thoughts that you have exclusively by yourself. Like you need other people around you to take your thinking to another level where it's never been. And ultimately, like I'm really curious to see what other people like ideas are and how they see how this world works, you know, especially when it comes to taking stuff like opportunities and how they go about learning from them, you know what I mean? And to me, I think that something like real cliche is where preparation meets, I guess, like timing. I guess what they say with opportunity. Like, for example, something like that's mad weird is like the Big Sean story when he was rapping for Kanye. You know, as Kanye's walking out the studio, he just spitting all the bars to him and stuff like that. But that's, for example, was mad weird that how that situation drastically changed his circumstances for just rapping for Kanye. And even though he wasn't a millionaire literally the next day or the next week or the next couple of months, him doing that ultimately led him to be in the situation that he's in right now. And that's one of millions of stories throughout history where one specific moment significantly changed the lives of that person that's going through it. And I feel as though if people had that kind of mindset all throughout their day, that they would notice that there's opportunities laying around everywhere. And you kind of got to be in like the mental space to actually see that what is in front of you actually is an opportunity, to be quite honest. And this is something that I just started thinking about, honestly, within like the last like 3 years. I'll say once I came back overseas from Spain, since that was like the first like thing that I did in the realm of something that I really, really wanted. It rewired my brain extremely differently. Like my possibilities and what I thought I was capable of completely changed once I came back home. And ever since then, I've just been on a weird trajectory. I noticed that it keeps changing as I keep going along it, and every time I think I caught up to it, it just changes again to something else. And that's weird. I don't know. Do it happen to y'all? Or I'm just like the only one? I doubt I'm the only one. But for those of you who are watching, just take note of the opportunities that you have like in your day. Like the one thing that I started noticing is I conversate with a lot of people, and I feel as though through me conversating with people that their ideas and their projections on life can be very similar to mine in a weird way, but with the way that they projected with their perspective have me think about my own life differently and the way I've been be going about my life. So that's why I'm like really big on like talking to other people and stuff like that, because to understand where they came from and how they go about making their decisions, weirdly enough, that helps me go about making my decisions as well. And the understanding and the empathy that I apply with people, with the conversations that I have with them, is really big for me. And I notice what it does to them. It makes them more engaged to talk to me, you know, because they see that I'm actually sitting there just listening. But ultimately, I hope that this stuff is helping some of y'all that's listening. You know, there's a couple of good episodes in the future that's gonna be pretty good. But for the most part, the ones that I'm doing where it's just me, like right now, I want you guys to start to understand how I think and how I go about doing things and why I make the decisions that I make. But ultimately, I do want to help you guys just take practical means on doing whatever it is that you want to do. And just because like I play basketball, that doesn't mean that if you are a painter or a cooker that you can't apply the same things that I learned in your way. You know what I mean? You just have to be creative enough to switch it in a way where it becomes applicable for you to do it. Sounds like I butchered that word, but I guess I didn't. But yeah, I love you guys. Just capitalize on your days. This week's homework assignment, I would love for you to just every day just notice the opportunities that's right in front of your face every day, because it's there. You just have to be aware of it.